Hey everybody, it's Greg Rice. We're here at Movement Mortgage in downtown Providence in the penthouse.
Yes, sir.
With, drum roll please, Mr. Matthew Bates. How's it going, Master Bates?
It's going.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
So let's get right into it, Matt.
Sure.
I had no idea who you were 5 years ago.
That's how long it's been.
Maybe 6, actually.
Yeah, I was at Embrace Home Loans when that happened, and I've been at Movement for about 5 years, so 6.
Yeah.
6. Was doing mortgages at Embrace for selling them as a loan officer for about 9 months before Movement, so almost 6 years.
Time goes by pretty quickly, and we thank Marcus Alves of Liberty Mutual for hooking us up.
That is true. Yeah.
So Marcus, if you're listening, thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.
And before Embrace, before all your working career, you grew up in Exeter, right? West Greenwich?
Yeah, well, I went to 3 high schools, actually. So,
okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Exeter to start.
Yep.
Left Exeter, went to North Kingstown. Was there for about 4 years. Went to Cranston West for my sophomore year of high school. And then I moved back to Exeter for my junior and senior year.
What was it like switching around in high school? Because I remember the feeling of having to leave would be like all your friends and your network.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I think it prepped me for my job now, weirdly enough, because I've met a lot of different people, different from all over the state, and you got to figure out how to come into a new environment and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And make relationships that you use to be able to be successful, in whatever you're trying to do, whether it's, at school and trying to find your friend circle and be comfortable in high school, and then, and then you go to college, and then I went to URI, and URI is like the next high school after high school because everybody just goes there. You adapt to it. It was tough to get sports teams and things like that. Like you get into a sports program and then you switch school districts and you're not in that program anymore. So that was a little bit tough, but I met a lot of awesome people and I'm still friends with so many people that I grew up with. So I count it as a blessing, not as a curse.
Yeah.
Some people might, be like, oh, that sounds terrible. I would hate to go through that, but I'm pretty lucky that happened to me. So
good way to look at it.
Yeah. Now today, where it translates today is meeting people constantly. Customers, referral partners, business partners, and things like that. So I feel like I do well in that area.
How many emails do you get on a daily basis?
It's got to be over a couple hundred. Realistically, I think probably like 500 emails. It'd be crazy. I gotta constantly delete them out of my inbox.
And are these emails that you have to respond to, or is it stuff maybe you forward to another person in the office, or is it all Matt Bates reply needed?
No, it's pretty much a lot of it has to do with me. Or I need to make sure that someone is replying because it takes a team. So I got a really awesome team behind me, and I need to read every one of them. So I make sure I'm aware of what's going on. But my assistants, they do such a good job of replying for me and things like that. So we do it all together. But I pretty much need to read every one of them in order to know what's going on. If I don't, then something happens and you get caught not knowing what's going on, and it's not good.
It's almost like your daily newspaper.
Yeah.
It just keeps updating the front page.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
How about your least favorite part of the job? What's like one thing that you're just like, shit, I don't like this at all, but it's a necessary evil, or something that just has to...
That's a good question. I wish I could shut it off sometimes.
Got it.
Not all the time. It's not like I hate that. But with today's technology of just, cell phones and everything goes through my cell phone. So from the time I wake up in the morning to the time I go to bed, when I go to bed, there's a to-do list. And when I wake up in the morning, that list just got bigger. Right. So, but it's immediate. So like the second I look at my phone, I see what's, it's right there at my fingertips. So, it's really hard to shut it off. one, because I make myself available to all my clients, which is one of my competitive advantages to working with me, where, you know, another bank might be given a slightly better rate, but if they can't get a hold of the loan officer, or can't close the loan on time, or can't get things going, or can't get their questions answered, then there's no value there. And if I'm, you know, I'm more available, or I'm quicker to respond, then that might just be what it takes to win the deal, or you know, or achieve that relationship with the customer where, you know, they can depend on me. So that's like it's a necessary evil. But also, like, psychologically, I can't shut it off. Like, even when my phone's not ringing, I can't stop thinking about it. So that's something that, you know, it can be tough sometimes. You know, even when my phone's not ringing, I'm more anxious, because I'm like, all right, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
You know, like,
something should be happening.
What's going on? I'm not getting a leader now. It's, you know, I need what's up? Did something happen? Did somebody say something about me? You know, you know, you start going through your head. So, you know, I think with it used to be a lot worse. I think I'm getting a lot better about being comfortable about that, and knowing that, like, we do a good job, and we're doing a ton of business right now, which is really exciting. And that's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And the more that you mature, and the more that you're able to deal with it, the easier it is to shut it off when you need to, like vacations and things like that. So
yeah, when I first started too, I remember being like, I gotta get back to this guy or girl or whoever instantly. And then after a while, I'm like, you know what? They don't care about my quality of life.
Right.
They don't care about my family. They don't care about my mental well-being.
Right.
They're just focused on what they need. So what I've learned is, everybody get in line.
Right.
We're gonna get to it as soon as we can, and I'm not rushing around and killing myself.
Right.
Because of your lack of planning is now my emergency.
Right. Well,
is that fair?
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, you know, I think it's with maturity, and as you get better with the job, you can start to foreshadow scenarios like that happening. And a lot of my mentors have taught me how to script to that, like deal with that and call that out, you know, from the beginning. So that way, you know, like for instance, if you don't answer your phone during lunch, and you're taking lunch and you're taking a moment to eat with yourself, don't pick up the phone while you're eating lunch. Eat your lunch, call them back after you get done and say, sorry I missed your call, I was eating lunch. That person will then know, don't call him at lunchtime, because he's not going to pick it up. Yeah, you pick up, you know, and it's not like, you know, I'm not, again, I need people to want to call me, to talk to me about it, so that I'm a necessary to the process, you know. If they don't need to talk to me, then I don't need my job. You know what I mean? Like, I lose my job if I'm not needed. So, you know, I encourage that. It's just, you have to, as a human being, you have to balance yourself. You know, when you're working, when you're not working. You know.
So who's your mentor?
I have a couple of really awesome ones.
Who's your pivotal one? Like the one that is just the most helpful to this day?
Yeah.
Maybe from day one too.
Yeah. So I always resort to my regional director, Ian. You know Ian.
Okay.
Yeah. He's the one that he's the only person I've worked for since I've been a loan officer. You know, I've had. He's risen in promotions and whatnot, and I now have a new branch manager not new. He's been the branch manager for a couple of years now, but you know he's technically my boss, but it's all under Ian. And when I first started, I didn't even know what Zillow was. I didn't know what Trulia was.
Yeah.
I didn't know a lot of. I still, you know, am constantly learning about, you know, how things go, and you know how to do a better job, but. You know, Ian taught me from the ground up. And since that day that we started working together, we've both grown exceptionally, you know, in volume and business and units and professionalism, and he's a true leader, and both for me personally and professionally. So, you know, in times of tribulation and times of, you know, stress and anxiety or family difficulties or whatever, you know, he's somebody that I trust explicitly, and you know, he's taught me, you know, a lot of lessons, and it continues to do so. So I'm real blessed to have him in my corner. I have another another strong mentor of mine. His name is Bruce Lane. He's a real estate agent, and he sold me my first house.
Okay.
And investment property, and he's really taught me how to take the opportunity that I've been given with being in this business and working for this company and doing the job that we do, and how to utilize that opportunity to make sure that you're good for life. Like how do you make sure that you're secure and you're diverse and you're financially and emotionally and relationships wise. How do you make it so that way you're going to continue with life success? So he's someone that I might not talk to every day, but second that I call him and bring up whatever scenario I'm dealing with, he'll tell me how he would handle it, how I should handle it, and give me really good advice. So he's another really strong mentor. And then I have a third one. It was Mark Almeida. Mark. He's my branch manager now, but he we're friends from college. Met in college, went to URI together, and he's the one that got me into the mortgage business.
Ah.
So I have
Shout out to Mark. I'll get Mark on the screen.
Mark's the man. Yeah. So he's one of my best friends. He's my branch manager, so he's my boss technically too, which it's tough to say call your best friend your boss, but I wouldn't work for anybody else. It's been great. We're very great reputations in the state, and moving mortgage has been awesome. So, but yeah, he got me into my first mortgage job as a loan processor before I started selling. So I owe him a lot of credit too. And we get constantly hit with how to do something. Like we do game changers and strategy, and we're constantly coming up with different plays and figuring out how we can be on the forefront of this business and making sure that we stay top of mind and relevant, and we continue to sharpen our tools to continue to do a good job. So,
are you guys the biggest in Rhode Island as far as volume goes, or is that an unknown statistic?
No, we got a good statistic. We were number one in purchase last year. So purchase loans were something that we're really proud of.
And that means what for the folks at home?
So we're number one in purchase lending. So helping buyers achieve home ownership.
The amount of loans or the volume of those loans?
I think it was units. Got it. Yeah, I think it was units.
So the majority of people in Rhode Island came to Movement Mortgage to buy a house. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know, not the majority, but we have the biggest. We had the biggest market capture.
Got it.
Meaning, like, we captured the most amount compared to our competitors.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's also refinances. So it's not true mortgage volume because a lot of banks do refinances. Like I know Citizens Bank's a big one. The Tucker Credit Union's another big one. So all those banks continuously are doing lines of credit and refinances. So we weren't number one overall, but we were number one in the purchase. And we really tried to stay number one in the purchase because that's the business that we're going after, is helping people buy houses. Can't refinance a house unless you buy it.
True.
So the refinances come after, and if we can help do the refinance, which is what we do, then we're happy to do so. But we want to stay constantly all gears towards helping people buy property. And
so you get to nurture the relationship during the purchase process, and then maybe refinance once, twice, 3 times down the road.
Exactly.
But don't rely on refinances because you're just going up against any other company. There's no competitive advantage. There's no relationship.
Right.
So you guys are focused really on the first-time buyers.
Right. First-time home buyers, second-time home buyers, people selling to buy a house, investors, people purchasing real estate. We want to continue to be a reliable resource for the market and for the people around us and the customers that know that if they're going to buy a house, they're going to at least consider Movement Mortgage. And all I'm looking for is the at bat, and then it's on me to hit the ball. So. And we hit the ball very often.
Or shoot the ball.
Shoot the ball. Yeah.
Do you happen to have a ball?
Yeah, I don't know.
Got clock at 5. Jab step. Puts up a 3. Bang! Kobe Bryant from downtown.
So Matt, you just made that shot, and metaphorically, to me, that shows me that you're a game time player. Okay? You're hitting it from long distance. He's making that shot. This is your mortgage. Okay, and that hoop over there, that's your home. And Matt is taking that mortgage and he's shoving it right in that hole. I don't do mortgages, so I lost the shot. But Matt, what's your opinion? You mentioned credit unions on credit unions. I'm a big no fan of credit unions. I think they're very archaic. They have their place in the market, but for mortgages, for investors, first-time home buyers, I feel like they're just way behind the eight ball.
Yeah, I think they're more flexible with their lending, so they can accomplish, like they might have met sometimes very infrequently, but they might have opportunities to be able to get things done and close where their portfolio, what they call portfolioing the loans, and that's an advantage. But there's a lot of disadvantages, in my opinion, of working with a credit union. One, a credit union is like, they do auto loans, they do personal loans, they do commercial loans, they do checking and savings. They got their hands in all these different types of businesses and lending, and they don't do any one of them spectacular.
Got it.
So they're very diverse, which makes them so you can go to one stop and get anything that you want, but they're not a master of any one of them. So with working with a mortgage company like me and my team or anybody else that works at Moving Mortgage, all we do is residential mortgages. So we don't, we're not, we don't have our hands tied into different industries and things like that.
You specialize.
So we specialize only in mortgages, and if you want to get something done efficiently, good deal, affordable closing costs, competitive rates, and be able to close on time and have an advisor. That's another thing is I hear frequently from customers that have gone to credit unions, but then also gone to us. And I'm huge on education and preparation. So if I have a chance to educate and prepare the client before it becomes a reality, then I've done my best job. And I feel like I go into the educational part much more than what a loan officer would do at a credit union.
True.
Credit unions just say, here it is, this is what we're working with, take it or leave it, on to the next one. And me, I'm more about understanding why you're doing an FHA loan versus a conventional loan. What are the strategic advantages to doing a 20% down versus 5% down? Like what do we got going on here? What are the pros and what are the cons? Looking at all the ingredients and coming up with the best soup. You know what I mean for the scenario. And a lot of people appreciate that.
I love soup.
Yeah, soup. Yeah.
What's your favorite soup?
Chicken noodle soup.
It's good for the soul.
Good for the soul. Yeah.
Did you ever read those books?
No. No, I'm not a big reader.
What's the last book you read?
Gosh, the mortgage book.
The book of rates?
No, my mortgage exam.
Oh, okay. Was
Yeah.
that hard?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. Yeah.
Did you fail first time?
I failed first 2 times. So I didn't take it serious, and that was a failure on my part.
Yeah.
Because I could have gotten started sooner and been that much ahead, but I was young and I didn't really take it that serious. So I failed it, and it taught me a lesson that I still hold on to today. But the second that I took it serious is when I read the mortgage book, and I read every single word a couple of times, and then went in there and passed that with flying colors. So it created a lot, catapulted my life into a whole other, after something like that.
I mean, just this view here, and we'll show the folks at home too. I mean, this is probably the best view in town. You have the east side, you have downtown, you have the courthouse. So you can see all the tenants we evict.
Yeah.
And then you have, the hurricane barrier, the water.
Yeah.
Downtown, the Whiskey Republic or former
Get the
Whiskey.
new bridge here too. The
bridge.
$3 million
walking bridge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mick loves that. In our office, he goes there.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, what's one thing, one policy or thing about movement mortgage that you don't agree with? Like something that maybe borrowers have to do to qualify, or part of the process that you're always just like, why are we even doing this?
You know what? That's a very hard question because I don't really disagree with any of it.
You think it's very seamless?
I think that every systems have little wrinkles in them, but they're very quick to iron them out.
So how about this? What's something the consumer frequently complains to you about? Matt, why is this way? Why am I paying for that? What is going on here? This has nothing to do with me.
We don't get that. I get customers that have a little tough time with the technology because like online application, but I still don't look at that as a negative thing. But that's something that a lot of older customers or not technically savvy customers struggle with, but we make up for it by doing it manually. Right. So some people. So and again, I try to let everybody know that like don't get caught up in the technology. If you can figure it out and use it to your advantage. But if not, then we'll have other ways to do it. If they can figure it out, it makes the whole process so much smoother. But if they don't, we're not going to not lend them money or help them by doing it. So sometimes people get a little caught up on the technology part of it, but for the most part, everybody makes it makes sense to everybody. I think some people might that are used to instant gratification and they don't get the instant gratification might get a little annoyed by that. But at the end of the day, I have to help everybody. If you do a good job in this business and you crush it for a customer and they're super excited about it, the result of that is they tell 4 other people to that are going through the same scenario to call me. So it's not like, oh, you did a good job, pat on the back, you did the job, you're done. It's like, no, do that over and over and over and over again and try to do it as many times as you can. So, when you break your volume record or your unit record, now you have a new record to break.
Right.
And it doesn't, now that I broke my record, it doesn't look like I can take a day off now. Now you got to go work even harder to break your new record and keep going. So it keeps growing. Like, I guess it's not about movement mortgage. I mean, that's a thing about the whole business industry in itself. Is it's never, you never like get to your goal and stay there. Right. You got to keep going, and it's good. You did close 10 million, good. Now you got to do 20. Now you got to do 30. Now you got to do 40. What's stopping you from getting to be $100 million producer? Like,
change maker.
Yeah, change maker. Yeah, like what's stopping you from doing that? Go get it. And it's like after you close, you get to President's Club, you're like, oh, wow. But,
what is President's Club for folks at home?
Yeah, President's Club. It's a club at the company that you get to once you get to a certain volume amount.
What is that volume?
So it's for President's Club. It's at Movement. It's 25 million in closed volume, and in a year, or it's 125 units. So whatever happens first, and
which happened first for you?
Well, last year I made President's Club at the end of November. So and I did that through volume.
Yep.
Didn't quite get to the unit part. This year I made it at the end of July.
Wow.
So yeah, it's sped up. Yeah. Yeah.
We could put some presidential music in the background here.
And then we're on pace to capture the units too. So we'll make it in both categories.
And then after that is Changemakers at 100 million or 50?
Yeah, I think it's Changemakers is 125 million in volume. I think, and then 250 units. Wow. I think that's what it was.
Is that possible humanly for you?
Yeah, for me, not this year, but it's a goal of mine. That means that you're doing you're running a very successful business, and you're helping a lot of people out, and you're a change maker in the industry.
Yeah.
So, do I want to be that person? Absolutely. I mean, there's no reason to wake up and do this job unless you want to. Like, if you don't want to be there, then don't do this job. Like it's not the reason. You want to get up and you want to get to that goal.
What did you envision doing when you were in college? What was your career?
Well, my father's in construction.
Yep.
And because I moved so much, my family's bought and sold maybe 15 houses.
Wow.
So I've always been like in and out of homes and moving and all that. So I knew I wanted to be in a people person business. I knew I wanted to be in something to do with real estate, whether it was a real estate agent or a contractor or it was mortgages. And I went to the school URI for business. So I didn't know I was going to be a loan officer when I was going to school, but I was looking for some sort of finance, whether it was a financial advisor or banker or whatever. I was just lucky enough that one of my friends got into the business before I did, and he's like, "Dude, you gotta check it out. Come hang out with, come interview, come meet the people that I work with. I think you really like it." Plus, after college, I valeted in college. So that at the time was making great money, but obviously there's no retirement. There's no, you plateau after you make, you work at all the good spots. You can't do that forever. So it got to the point where my mom was not having it anymore. It's like I needed to get a job. You went to college, get a job. Wow. And she gave me like an ultimatum, and then that day is when Mark introduced me to mortgages, and since then it's just been a blessing. Very big, very people say if you love what you do at work, or if you love your job, then it's not work. It's just you're not working. You're just living your life, and it's what you do for life. Like, so I very much feel like that. You know what I mean? I feel like that I don't work. I just love doing what I do. And for me, it's what I want to do. I'd rather be working than doing most things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd rather be doing it. I'd rather be going to open houses and buying properties and advising people on how to strategically, utilize their cash to be able to buy multiple houses versus one big house. And you can build a lot of wealth if you do it right. So you've got your fair share of mortgages.
Yeah.
In properties. How many units do you own now?
So now I have 57 units that I own here in Rhode Island, and it all started just 5 years ago.
Right.
But now I'm thankful that I'm moving all my business, everything, even my checking account, everything's coming from Pawtucket Credit Union and going right to Bank Rhode Island where it belongs. Bank Rhode Island is great for investors like me who have a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not just a pay stub and a W-2 to give me a loan. It's very complex. There's seller finance stuff. So it makes it hard for somebody like you to assist me, because sometimes you're like, well, your DTI is this and we need this much reserves, and it just gets out of whack because it's not your specialty. It's not your niche. Okay, and that's just something that I've come to realize as investors. If you're out there, you need to find the right lender, the right banking relationship, and go all in with them. And I'm happy with Bank Rhode Island.
Yeah.
They fit my style.
Yeah. Well, there's what I constantly tell people, especially people considering coming to movement. A lot of times I talk to new recruits or prospects or people to share my experience with movement. And what I often say is that there's not any perfect circle of a mortgage company.
Right.
We're all ovals, and we're just strong, fat in areas and skinny in other areas. Yep. And it's just figuring out which oval fits your goal and accomplishment, to get it done. In movement, we're very We have all the residential mortgage loan options, VA, USDA, FHA, multifamilies, 1 to 4 units, conventional, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. We have renovation loans. We have a good product mix of what's available depending on your financial scenario, and we are geared to move through the mortgage, like movement. We're closing them fast. And it's through education and preparation before the contract. If I can properly educate, properly prepare, when they sign the contract, we can close pretty quick.
So let me ask you this, not to cut you off, I don't want to forget this. What differentiates you, movement, between somebody like a Rocket Mortgage or a Quicken Loan, somebody that
Right.
also has the rapidity and the speed in their name?
Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage is often asked, like, what makes us better than them or more competitive. And for me, it's my being local. We have a brick and mortar here. Like we're a place that you can come and sit down and advise and go over. And I only close more loans in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Some other people are in Connecticut and Rhode Island, Florida, and things like that. But we're still local. We know how business gets done. We know how to make proper referrals to insurance agents and contractors, and whatever mold mitigation or radon or whatever comes up with the thing. We know who's who in the business, and to be able to get the problem resolved. And home inspectors, so a well networked loan officer can be such an advantageous part of the process.
True.
Versus a loan officer that's in Idaho,
Right.
California or Arizona or whatever. They don't know who to call. You can't resort to them to figure out. And now if we're doing the same cost, same rate, but you have the advantage of having a well-networked loan officer at your service, then that's a huge value add for the same money.
True.
Not to take anything away from Quicken Loans, because they obviously do a lot of business, but I think that they're for the traditional savvy. It knows exactly what they're doing. Customer.
Got
And that's very few and far in between.
it. True.
You know what I
It's a
mean?
niche.
Niche. Yeah. Like, for instance, I would consider myself a savvy buyer. I would fly right through Quicken Loans' system.
Yes.
And I would be a good example of it. It just so happens I work for a competitor, so I would never do that. But somebody that maybe a real estate agent or somebody that's got a lot of experience with buying and selling and doesn't need the hand holding, if you will. I hate to call it that
It's true.
but first time home buyers or people that haven't bought or sold property in a long time, they're not going to be able to go through that system and feel as comfortable as they would go through our system, because I'm going to make sure that it's done right. Property taxes and escrows and insurances and things like that. It's all specific to the area. So, you want somebody that's familiar with the local ebbs and flows of the business, in my opinion. Looking at it.
What's the biggest change you see coming to the mortgage industry? Maybe it already happened with coronavirus. Like what change do you see coming down the pipe that's going to throw a wrench in the way that you usually get things accomplished?
Well, there was this huge fear that our business was going to be automated and technology driven, where the consumer was going to be so educated that they wouldn't need a loan officer anymore. So that was a fear. Then Corona hit, and we were needed more than ever. But before Corona hit, that was like the hysteria of what was going on. Like Zillow was opening a mortgage company, and Amazon was gonna come into the business. Data is the new oil. So people are going after data. So when you can capture someone's address, name, social, if it applies, phone number, email address, and they can get that data, birth date, get that data, you can do a lot of predictable models about how to market properly to get the consumer to buy into whatever product you're doing. And once the customer applies to Movement Mortgage, they've consented to us capture that data capture.
Yes.
So we have all our leads, we have all our closed loans, we have all our customers, we have it all, and through email campaigns and different marketing strategies, you generate business through that. So all these companies are trying to figure out how to capture as many data points as possible so they can build their companies in a marketing strategy and to continue to grow. If you take a company like Amazon, they have the biggest data pool because of all the customer bases, everybody's on Amazon, that if they switched into the mortgage business, they would have already established customer base to market to immediately right off the bat. And they would take, if they were able to do it correctly, could take a huge amount of the market share away from mortgage companies and Quicken Loans and Moving Mortgage. So there was a big fear of them getting into this business, taken away from what we are already, what we've already got established. So that was all like last year. That was the hysteria last year. That all went away. The second Corona hit, that I haven't even heard one person bring that up. And it's crazy how, the world turns at certain speeds to get, now we're literally needed more than ever, to help people get this, situation figured out and, lowered interest rates or paying off debt, or maybe they can't make their mortgage payment, they need someone to talk to. So it's crazy times right now, and it's a bit of a blessing that I'm in the position where I'm in while we're doing what we're doing right now, because we're having a killer year, and we're definitely thankful for that.
So data is the new oil. I love that. We're going to be making a highlight reel of the best lines of each one of
I had to quote Gary Keller for that because he's the one that came up with that.
But it's great via Matt Bates. Data is the new oil, and I never thought of that in that context. I mean, growing up as kids, people were fighting over oil. People were fighting over land, territories in the Middle East. Probably is your family growing up too. But now people are fighting for
data,
our information.
Yeah.
Where are we? What are we doing? Who are we with?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird how that's changed. Oil is still very vital, but data is the new oil.
If you can get a massive amount of data and you have a good product and you can get exposure, create as much exposure to that product through data as you can, then you will do very, very well.
What about Facebook, right? I heard Facebook was gonna do up their own charter and create their own currency. They're gonna be a bank. Did you hear anything about that?
No, that wouldn't surprise me though.
Does that ever worry you, like the
cryptocurrency?
Yeah, cryptocurrency, or the effect of that.
I think getting rid of cash worries me.
In what way?
I think the black market, drugs, prostitution, human trafficking, terrorism, that they all depend on cash, dollar bills. Mm-hmm. And if you eliminate dollar bills and you just use credit card, debit cards, and online banking and whatever, then those industries all go away.
You think?
Well, yeah. I mean,
so why does getting rid of cash worry?
Well, because I feel like that would create the government's ability to analyze and watch everything.
Got it.
You on camera, on paper, on record of buying and doing and what your entire life can be analyzed.
So cash leaves a little wiggle room.
Cash leaves a little wiggle room if I want to go and buy a pizza and eat a pizza. I can give them cash and nobody knows that. I mean, I'll probably be on camera there, but
it's not tied.
Yeah, it's not tied. You can't. The cash allows you to operate. Fill up a tank of gas. Go out to dinner, do something without having it documented and having anybody that has the ability to look at it know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a way of the government to control us a little bit more if they get rid of cash. But that's crazy to think about. There's pros and cons. It would eliminate all the black market. Or that black market would operate on something else,
right.
But if you can't, cash is no good anymore, then what are they? You can't do any of those things anymore, which is it's a good thing, but then at the same time, you're completely controlled by like banks,
Right.
and that's not good. So
Interesting.
yeah.
I think once they phase out the penny, then I'll start to get nervous. Like, all right, they got rid of the penny. Now they're gonna get rid of the nickel.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
but since the penny's still floating around,
Yeah.
I feel okay.
Yeah. Like so far. Yeah. It's
But
gonna be
interesting.
interesting to see what happens.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. No problem.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
And before we go, what do you want the folks at home to know about you? And it doesn't have to be about movement. It could just be about Matt Bates underneath it all.
I guess just know that I'm continuously trying to do better than the day before. I'm always learning. I'm always adjusting. Always trying to make my life and everybody around me life's better in some type of way. Maybe it's a smile. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's a meal. Maybe it's an opportunity that could get seized. Maybe it's making an introduction to somebody. But if I can help make me and everybody around me's life better, then I'm accomplishing my goals. And I'm constantly learning how to do that better and better. And I'm gonna apply that to every aspect of my life and see where it takes me.
Matt Bates, Movement Mortgage.
No problem. Thanks
And
for
if the folks at home want to get in touch with you, should they come to your house or should they?
Please don't.
Don't go to his house.
No, call
Okay.
me on my cell phone. 401-266-4416.
Email?
Matt.bates@movement.com. And you can get me online at therimortgageguy.com.
Good website.
Yeah,
Like,
sweet. Yeah.
You've had that for a while, right?
Yeah, I bought it.
You could sell that.
Yeah, I could sell.
I'll pay you cash.
No, not for sale. But when I think about it, I'll let you know.
Let me know. Got crypto. I need crypto. Again, we're here at Movement Mortgage headquarters, right?
Yeah.
Rhode Island?
Yeah. Headquarters in Rhode Island.
Rhode Island headquarters of Movement Mortgage, the penthouse, Doran Street, downtown Providence. Once again, Greg Rice from Nexus Property Management. Your property managed.